The Scramble for Africa was a significant event in the history of the world, especially in relation to the Age of Imperialism. It saw the major powers of Europe compete with one another as they sought to gain territories in Africa for their own benefit. While this led to major economic gains for the European countries, it caused devastation and destruction for the African people. In this video, we investigate the history, importance, and outcomes of the Scramble for Africa. Let's explore this significant event in closer detail. The Scramble for Africa occurred from approximately 1884 until the outbreak of World War I in 1914. During these years, almost all of Africa came under the control of the major European powers, including Britain, France, Germany, Belgium, Italy, Portugal, and Spain. At the time, Europe was experiencing a period of rapid industrialization and technological innovation as a result of the Industrial Revolution. As well, with the rise of imperialism, European powers sought to expand their empires and secure valuable resources to fuel their economies. In fact, Africa was a continent rich in resources, from gold and diamonds to rubber and ivory. Competition was an important aspect of European politics and foreign policy at the time. For example, nationalism became a central motivating factor among the European nations in the 19th century and pushed them to expand their empires of control across the world. This sense of rivalry was so intense that it eventually resulted in the outbreak of World War I in 1914. At its core, the Scramble for Africa was characterized by territorial conquest. European powers scrambled to establish colonies and spheres of influence across the African continent. Explorers, missionaries, and colonial administrators played crucial roles in advancing European interests in Africa. Furthermore, the European nations raced to build railroads, bridges, and other infrastructure across the vast African landscape to assist in colonization and resource development. All the while, African leaders and various resistance movements attempted to fight back against foreign rule. The growing tensions and rivalry between the European powers eventually led to the Berlin Conference of 1884. This conference was called by German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck with the hope of reducing tensions between the European nations. As such, the goal of the Berlin Conference was to create a set of boundary lines and define territories for the nations involved. What resulted was a mix of approximately 50 African states that divided African ethnic groups and disrupted existing political systems. African societies were not consulted in this process and were forced to accept the new territories created by the European leaders. Besides the Berlin Conference, the Scramble for Africa unfolded as a series of major events, which included the British and French conflict over the Suez Canal, the rule of King Leopold II of Belgium over the Congo, Britain's control and colonization of South Africa, and the two Moroccan crises. Overall, Africa before colonization was a continent characterized by its vibrant societies and cultures that had evolved over millennia. European colonization profoundly impacted the African continent, leading to significant changes in its political, economic, and social landscape. Economically, the colonial powers exploited African resources, including minerals, lumber, and agricultural products, to fuel their industries in Europe. This led to the destruction of local economies and the loss of traditional livelihoods. Socially, colonialism disrupted existing social structures and imposed European cultural norms and hierarchies, leading to social upheaval among African communities. Forced labor, segregation, and discriminatory policies further increased tensions and inequalities. Politically, European colonization devastated African government structures and ways of life. The European nations created new borders in Africa that were arbitrarily drawn, disregarding existing political, ethnic, and cultural boundaries, leading to long-lasting conflicts and tensions. Overall, the Scramble for Africa had a profound impact on the histories of both Europe and Africa.